p.m., friends. Thanks for joining DeFi-Logic Symposium Sunday, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. As a member of our Discord server, you can join our call every week and discuss in real time. Link is in the description below. In today's community call, we'll review weekly market callbacks with Eddie, and is the U.S. economy slipping into stagflation with G-Force, an analysis of NodeAI and their token GPU, as well as recent SEC targeting of Metamask. And let's get started. Over to you, Eddie.
All right. I think you guys know what chart we're calling back today. It was a great call, so I need to take my victory lap. It's not even over yet either. Still going to keep going. So, what was it? 2 weeks ago, I think, we looked at SC, 90% down from the all-time high, which was the Pico bottom. And I was saying, you should buy this. You should buy it a lot. I was like shilling it everywhere, saying how you should buy this and why you should. So this was when they were getting FUD because they didn't own the key or license to the image. The image was, I believe, gone at the time. The Twitter image was gone. And it was just an obvious buy to me because of all the lore. And then also it was down 90% from all-time high, which we pretty much bottom ticked it on stream, which was really cool. So assuming you bought it, it gave you plenty of time down here as well, right? So it's not like it was like a minute and it was gone. From the bottom to now, it's up over 400%. To the high, it was about 470. So performing really well. We'll keep going higher, in my opinion, because now they have the license to the cat. They are now partnered with the account. So cute cat pictures on demand. To see just some of this liquidity here get taken, all these highs. So basically, once we get a spike up here, any dips like down to here, there's basically going to be your last dip for new highs, I think. So that's what I would like to see now. If you still don't have any yet, I feel bad for you. If you get down to here, you need to buy. So that's what we're looking at. SharkCat, for sure, heading closer to $1 billion coin. I don't see why it doesn't hit it, but you never know. It's only at 180 right now, so it'll go much higher. So yeah, hopefully you guys got that.
Thank you, Eddie. And next up, we'll have G-Force talking to us about stagflation.
Thanks, Christine. Okay, so I'm going to talk about stagflation because it's been brought up last week, at the very earliest 2 weeks ago, in the main financial newspapers and the media. Stagflation hasn't been around for over 50 years, so a lot of people don't even know what the heck it is. Because in economics, we have recession, we have inflation, but there's also stagflation. The first time it really came about was in the 70s with Carter that was president, and the interest rates, I even actually remember them as a kid, were like 14, 18%. So the actual definition of stagflation, okay, is inflation, is also another name for it, is a situation in which the inflation rate is high or increasing. And I would say the inflation rate's increasing in our current economic situation. The economic growth rate slows, which is what the Fed is trying to do, and unemployment remains steadily high. The only one we really don't have right now is a high unemployment. This was a major economic drag in the 70s, and that is why everybody's hypersensitive about it. If we look at right here, we have Jamie Dimon, which is the CEO of JP Morgan. He's talking about it last week. He said the U.S. economy looks more like the 70s than we've seen before. He said this earlier this week in a discussion hosted by the Economic Club in New York. He repeated the message in the Wall Street Journal on Thursday. The GDP report was released at that time and it showed it was slowing down. He said things looked pretty rosy in 70 and they were not rosy in 73. 73 is when it really hit. There was the oil crisis, the gasoline crisis, and everything else that was going on. But right now, the situation, the reason why people are talking about it is because right now, the past few months, our current geopolitical tensions are similar to those in the 70s with the Middle East and rising oil prices and poor political leadership in the White House. So right now it's not serious and it's something that needs to be watched because it's like falling off a cliff, because once it happens, there's no coming back and the economy just sits in a basically situation where nothing's happening, no growth, GDP really starts to slip and taxes go higher and interest rates go higher. So I just wanted to point that out, that stagflation is a thing, but it's something that economists really don't want it to happen because it's neither hot or cold. The economy is like lukewarm. It's not going bad, but it's going to stay bad if stagflation's around. but the economy's not growing as well. So a lot of people I know in the audience don't know much about stagflation, so I just wanted to put up that write-up and let you guys be informed. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, G-Force. And now we'll hand it over to Sloth with an analysis of NodeAI and their token GPU.
All right, so take a look at a Nansen dashboard. Take a look at some of the data for GPU. So the native token is a GPU. Current price, we're looking at 150, fully diluted valuation 153 million. So the fairly new token, it just deployed in December of last year, so it's only about 4 or 5 months out. And there's been a pretty decent amount of movement as far as like price wise. We see like from at least here, we see it doesn't really give the full picture. For some reason, the Nansen data only goes back to February 22nd, but it was only sitting at about 6 cents back then. And then it hit a peak of about $2.69, almost $3 beginning of April. And I was looking at the volume and I see like a big spike here in the beginning of March where it hit over $15 million these 2 days. So it's got about $3 million worth of daily trading volume on average with these two spikes. So I think it was more about 6 million altogether. We've seen a little bit of a jump since I did the analysis. I think it was sitting about 112 when I was looking at it initially. So I think with the news of NVIDIA and their upcoming earnings calls, we've seen a lot of the AI tokens start to run. So that's why we see a little bit of a spike the last few days. But looking at some of the balances here, you can see obviously the biggest one is with the node staking. So that's where you can go and basically stake your tokens to earn rewards, or you can actually rent out a miner and then actually receive the GPU tokens from running a node through their platform. And they have different ones depending on what kind of hardware you want to run, and you get paid out in the GPU tokens. One of the bigger addresses here, we see the Trust Swap, which is where the tokens are locked for staking, and they moved about 500,000 tokens out of staking. So there was 500,000 tokens that got unlocked previously within the last 30 days. I think it was within the last 2 weeks. And here we can see the distribution of the GPU tokens. So we see the staking's got the majority currently, and then there's a few token millionaires who are holding a pretty significant amount of tokens. I believe the full supply is about 100 million currently. And since it's not a very old token, there's not really a ton of distribution here. You see most of the addresses have only been holding it for about 30, 60 days because it's only 4 months old. And then if we look at the exchanges that are holding tokens, there's really not a ton as far as like centralized exchanges. Majority of it's on Uniswap because it is GPUs natively on ETH. So most of the trading has been on Uniswap, and then you see a little bit on LBank and then MEXC, and surprisingly a little bit on Coinbase. And we see a pretty significant drop of the tokens on exchange in the last week, probably we could see the price increase, so people have been buying up the tokens. So the supply on the exchanges have been going lower in the past week. And then if we look at the platform here, so the main NodeAI platform, what you can do is, like I was saying, you can go and either buy the GPU token, so it takes you straight to Uniswap, or you can do a swap and buy GPU tokens, or you can actually see the active nodes on the platform. You can go connect your wallet, and then if you were wanting to stake your GPU tokens, or you can do lending, you can do that here. You can also get an overview of all their currently active nodes. So there's a little map that shows them all around the world. Not really sure how accurate this is, to be honest. So the total nodes is at 140. Total GPU rented out is 385. Average rental duration 32 hours. And then we see the total rental duration at over 8,000 hours. And then it just shows us the average rental cost, $23. And then we just see the token price, fully diluted valuation, and then the ETH price for comparison. So basically what NodeAI is, it's a decentralized platform that is trying to make access to GPU and AI resources more available through the use of blockchain technology. Basically, the idea is they want people to be able to rent out these virtual machines, these high-powered computers, and then they can go ahead and basically rent those resources to others. So people who want to rent out a GPU, they can do that. And then when they rent out the GPUs from the resources, then they're basically getting paid out in the GPU token. And so, yeah, basically it's just an ability for businesses and individuals to rent out AI service and then they can lend their unused GPU power, and then individuals can use that for AI or other things. The actual project began in October last year. They began the token sale, and it was offered at a pretty significantly lower price than it was today. The team is made up of individuals from various backgrounds. A lot of them are from top tech companies, or so they say. We don't really know for sure because a lot of them are anonymous. So there's not really a ton of information on the team itself. But basically what their goal is just to provide resources for individuals and businesses to rent out these hardware resources to use for AI research or other CPU intensive tasks. There's a lot of research and development that goes on with AI, and it requires a significant amount of CPU and GPU hardware to maintain. So basically their main goal right now is to just scale up and just make more tools and features available. But other than that, there's not really a ton of information. The docs just go over what type of rentals they have. There's not really a ton of info on here. It's all pretty basic. It just shows resource allocation. Because when you go and rent these GPUs, as resources, right? You're renting the GPU. It also comes with the CPU, RAM, disk space, and then they're usually running through a Linux instance, like through a Docker container. It's all here. There's, like I said, not really a ton of info. It's all pretty basic. I think it could be good, at least for the short term, just because of the AI hype. I think it would be pretty decent one to at least keep a lookout on for now with all the AI hype going on. But I'm not really too keen on it in the long term, just because I've seen a lot of these projects come and go, and I think a lot of this is similar to the nodes we saw in the previous cycle. And that's pretty much all I got for that.
Thank you, Sloth. If you enjoy our content, give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more crypto trading and overall market content. Next up, we have Breezenuts and Pepe talking about recent SEC targeting of Metamask.
Or Breezenuts, I like the name of that. I wonder who came up with it.
Yeah, it sounds somebody with a stroke of genius.
Yeah, dude, that's exactly it. But yeah, so today we're talking about Consensus, who's the development company behind MetaMask, and how they were hit with a Wells notice, and I guess what that means. So I'll let O'Breezy take it, and then we can ping pong back and forth.
So as we talked about back in June, going through the SEC lawsuits with the major exchanges, centralized exchanges, it was evident that they were going to be coming after the decentralized exchanges as well. They don't view them as exempt, and the thing is, they changed certain regulations back in this past October as well. That I pointed out. They said they were getting in compliance with some 2008 regulations from Congress, but the long and short of it is, any exchange, even if they only trade one security, or even if they only offer one security out of all of their products, still have to be compliant with the SEC, even if those aren't securities. So it looks like the SEC is trying to get into a range war or grab as much authority as possible right now. They're going to try and rein everybody in.
Yeah, I think that's what we came to the conclusion on this one, that at this point, it's really just that they're trying, it's a big power grab, because I think that you would see CFTC going after some of these products and services like MetaMask, right? But you don't really see that at all. And the thing that's really interesting is that the SEC is an administrative organization in the government, right? So it's under the executive branch, and what they're supposed to do is interpret legislation and make rules, but they don't make any rules. All they do is they enforce things based on a lack of rules, which is pretty absurd, right? So when you think about it that way, it's if you don't have rules for what is and is not a security in the crypto space, exactly how are they going after MetaMask? I don't see this. This is another lawsuit that I don't see it working for the SEC at all, because they have to specify what security is being interacted with on the platform, which would be MetaMask. And from what I have seen, they have not done that. They just ambiguously say, oh, some of the stuff you're using is probably a security. That's how I'm reading it. And it's okay. That's not how you run an administrative organization in the federal government. But apparently it is, because that's what they're doing. I just don't think that it's leaving a very good legacy for Gary Gensler, and this guy's got to get out of the way at some point.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It does look like, well, think about it. Crypto space is growing. It's been growing exponentially for years now. So whatever department, whatever agency is going to have regulation authority over crypto space, you're going to see their budget just massively increase, their authority massively increase. So I think that's why they're trying to do a power grab. The SEC, if you look at the prior lawsuits that they've put out there, they're maintaining that pretty much anything that's proof of stake is inherently a security because the idea of holding a certain amount, the value will increase over time.
Yeah. The problem that I have with that too is, and it's not pushback on you, it's pushback on them, is that CFTC, which is a sister organization, whether or not SEC has as much political power or pull in the federal government is beside the point. But the sister organization that regulates commodities disagrees with them in blatant ways, right? So specifically in the case of Mango Markets, and I can't remember the other platform that was manipulated, and the guy just got sentenced to a bunch of time in federal prison for his crimes. But in the same case, CFTC called MNGO token, Mango Markets token, a commodity, and SEC was calling it a security. So if the federal government can't even be on the same page, how can the federal court system, who's supposed to decide a case, make a decision? You know what I mean? So we don't have any rules on what is and is not a security or a commodity in the crypto space. So this ambiguous nature of the SEC lawsuits it's seriously laughable at this point, because it's just a lot of FUD. But if you evaluate it from a critical perspective, it's pretty obvious that they're firing off shotgun rounds and hoping that something's going to stick at some point. We've seen historically that the SEC is not looked favorably upon by the courts. In fact, there was one that reprimanded them specifically in a crypto case more recently. All that put together, I feel like the more that the SEC sends out Wells notices or is filing suit against crypto projects and companies, it's the boy who cried wolf, right? But it's really not working. And I think they're going to lose power over time, to be frank, unless they can move Gary Gensler out of the way.
Perfectly agree. That's pretty much as obvious as our favorite crypto savior being state evidence.
Yeah, that's pretty much all for this week on Consensus and Metamask. So back over to Christine.
And that's it for this week. As a DeFi-Logic server member, you'll discuss market daily and ape coins and trade with other members. E-strategy is now live on Astrobit 2.0, and our Bitcoin and Doge strategies are in beta testing. Join our server now. Early members get free server access for life and future discounts on additional products and services. See you next Sunday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Jan, friends.
Join us next week in Discord for Symposium Sunday at DeFiLogic.com.